Now, for more on the situation in South Sudan, we're joined in studio by Ambassador Majok Guandong, South Sudan's ambassador to Kenya. Welcome to Africa Live. Now, Ambassador, with killings along ethnic lines, we've also had a UN representative describe the situation as having echoes of genocide. Do you agree with that statement?
Well, it is no and yes. No from the side of the government. There is no genocide that has ever been caused. However, the few incidents that took place in the first 2 days in Juba, where some civilians were killed, was a result of few soldiers taking the law into their own hands. But the government is very clear. Many of them have been arrested, and many of them will be brought to book. The second incident that has also been condemned by the government is the incident that took place in Bor last week, when some youths from Bor have taken law into their own hands and attacked a civilian at the UN compound in Bor. That has also been really condemned at the top level of the government, led by His Excellency the President, and the President said the perpetrators must be brought to book. It is yes in the case of the rebels. Since the rebels in December, they have been targeting civilians, whether in Bor, in Malakal, or in Bentiu. And you have seen what had happened in Bentiu last week when the rebels captured. And this is what has been described by the United Nations as the most horrendous committing atrocities against civilians. Even not only our civilians, South Sudanese, but even from our neighboring country, the Sudan.
Well, at this stage, what is the government's position with regard to what's happening in Bentiu? Because this is a situation that has escalated over the last few days. And how does the government propose to liberate that town?
Well, the government policy has been committed by the President of the Republic, General Salva Kiir, to peaceful resolution of the conflict since the first week of this conflict in December. So the government is committed to peaceful resolution through IGAD peace process. However, the government has the responsibility of protecting civilians, because the government is an elected government of the Republic of South Sudan. Therefore, the government has the right to rescue the citizens who are now under the rebel control, who are suffering all atrocities that you have seen in the international media.
Now, Ambassador, we've had accusations going back and forth as to who's been responsible for the killings of those civilians, and the rebels have said that the government was responsible. What is your reaction to that?
Well, there is no justification from the rebel side, because first of all, when these civilians were inside Bentiu, when Bentiu was under the control of the government, all these civilians were inside the government control areas. But as soon as they came in, you have seen how in the churches, in the mosque, and in the hospital, people were killed. Because there is no way you can justify this, to say that the government had committed this. Because when the government was there, nothing had happened. But when the rebels came in, they committed the atrocities, as you know.
Now, you've said there is a commitment to finding peace in South Sudan. We've seen the peace talks go on for at least 4 months now. Is it not a case of both sides merely buying time in the hope of securing a military victory?
Well, I can speak from the side of the government. From the top of the government, His Excellency the President General Salva Kiir has committed the government to peaceful resolution. That was why from the first week of the crisis, he formed the government delegation, and that's why he agreed on the IGAD summit of head of state and government that were conducted here in Nairobi on the 27th of December. So there is no doubt that the government is committed to peace. The government, if we speak now, only fight in self-defense when there is an attack, and also the government has a responsibility of protecting the citizen And therefore, when the citizens are attacked, the government always responds to protect the citizen.
Ambassador, thanks very much for your time this evening. We're speaking there to the South Sudanese ambassador to Kenya, Majok Guandong.